All right, Grant, here we are. We're in Utah. Where are you at today?
I'm currently in Jupiter, Florida.
Well, we thought it would be a fun conversation to just chat about the whole Phil Mickelson wearing joggers. Obviously, a lot of people saw it happen. You know, between the four of us, we were all kind of right in the middle of it. I think we've got you to thank for actually winning the match.
Yeah.
If you could just kind of start off by telling us, like, how did the match with Phil even come to be?
Yeah, Josh, my manager, actually, he got in touch with Phil's caddy, and that's how we got to Phil. And then from there on out, the match happened, and when Phil said he was down to do it, we were all really pumped for it because he's kind of like one of those dream guests that you want to get on the channel. So when it happened, it was so special.
Yeah, I feel like people are always talking about how you and Phil look alike.
Yeah, they are. I used to get that all the time, which is crazy. So it's like, it was one guy that I just always wanted to get on the channel. And I just knew, like, I knew before we got Phil on the channel that he was just going to be like the coolest person. I knew that we were going to really like just vibe well on camera together. And yeah, exactly what happened.
Had you met Phil before?
No, that was my first time. So when the camera's rolling there in the beginning and you guys are seeing we're discussing why I need 5 shots, that's the first time I'm ever meeting Phil right there. And he's just like, we're just going at it right off the rip. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, it felt natural, at least, from watching it. It was like, it almost felt like you guys were buddies.
It was a reunion.
Right. He's really, like, he's a very warm guy, and he makes everybody feel noticed, I would say. He introduced himself to all the camera guys, Skylar, the whole crew, and really just took time with each person. So super nice guy.
So how confident were you going into this match? Did you believe in yourself, or was it kind of a pipe dream?
Well, I mean, I was confident, but when I was 6 over through like the first 6 holes, I then started to question everything, and I was like, there's no chance Phil is ever going to be wearing joggers in the Open. We were basically tied up. Yeah, I think it was 6 holes we were tied up. And at that point, I was playing terrible. My confidence wasn't at the worst it's ever been. And yeah, I was like, there's no chance.
So to go back just a little bit, how did it end? Because the idea of the joggers, it kind of just happened. Like, how did that come to be?
Yeah, that was a last minute thing. That was totally just kind of just like we thought about it for a second. We wanted some sort of bet to be in place before we played the match. And instead of money, we wanted to do something more fun. And yeah, we just thought of joggers at the last second, and it happened. And then he wanted me, if I lost, to buy a year's supply of 4 Wellness, which is his company, his coffee brand.
I mean, obviously we were excited about it. Like, I remember because, we've got our weekly call, and you guys mentioned first that you might be doing a match with Phil, which would have been awesome in and of itself. Right. And then maybe he'd be down to wear the joggers if you beat him. And, obviously we sent him some just to like make sure that he'd like them and he'd feel comfortable wearing them. But it all just seemed so impossible the whole time. It like seemed too good to be true.
Right. And it was cool because Phil, when he looked at the joggers, like, he talked about them a lot. And when he looked at them and like held them up, he loved them from the start. And we had a bunch of colors for him. We had a whole box of joggers just for Phil. I know he went on and tried them. He tried them on at his house, and apparently they were either a little bit too short, and he wanted them longer. So we had to send him a longer pair of joggers. But I feel like that's how they're supposed to be. He probably looked down, saw his ankles, and was like, what am I looking at? And just was like, I don't know if I can pull this off. So he wanted the longer pair, which we got to him.
Yeah, I remember we had sent him the regular length, thinking that would be ideal, because is he around your height?
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit taller than him. He's probably like 6'1", and I think I'm 6'3". Okay. So I got him by like 2 inches, I believe.
Right, because you wear the regular length, so we're like, he's got to be the regular, because the worry was that if we sent the tall, they'd be too long, they'd bunch up.
Right. Yeah, I think he's wearing the regular length, but whatever he put on first, I think he just looked down at his ankles and was like, I don't think I can pull this off. But we sent him the longer one.
And they actually ended up looking really good.
Grant, how does Phil actually like the joggers? I mean, do you think he'll wear them in the future, or?
Yeah, apparently the other day him and Josh, they met up to say hi, and he was wearing the joggers when they met up.
That's awesome.
So he likes it. He's not just doing it for show. He actually likes it.
Yeah, I think he really likes them, which hopefully he'll just start wearing them in events, live events, or majors. That'd be pretty cool to see.
You know, I got to say, in the last couple holes of that video, though, it started to feel very real. Was the tension as high as it seemed like to me as a viewer? Was it getting pretty intense? Like, you could tell he was starting to worry a little bit.
16th hole is when it all changed. That's when I made the birdie putt and he missed, and we both hit it the same distance. So now I got a 2-shot lead or something at that point, and it started to get quiet. I could just see the different side of Phil coming out, and I mean, when you're playing with a guy like Phil, one of the greatest to ever play, he doesn't like losing. That's the last thing he ever wants to do. So he kind of snapped into this different gear on 17 and 18. And on 18 is when I started to really feel it, because I was thinking to myself, I'm actually about to beat Phil. And at one point we were tied through 6 holes. So obviously I start with the 5 shots, but in reality, those 5 shots after I doubled the first, because Phil played the mind games with me, and I played terrible after that, we're tied. So it was a straight up match after 6 or 7 holes. To make it to 18 and have a chance to win, and thinking in the back of my head, he's about to wear joggers. I could not believe this, because it felt impossible at one point during the match. Yeah. And that's when I got the most nervous. On 18, hitting that shot, I could not feel my body. I couldn't feel my arms. I was like, for me, this is as big of a moment as it gets, doing what I do for a living. Like, this is my Masters. And somehow birdied the final hole. We had a tap in, luckily. Couldn't feel the body. But yeah, when we tapped that thing in and he was holding up the joggers, I was about as excited as I've ever been.
What a rush. I can't even imagine. I mean, we were just looking at a list. He, on most lists, well within the top 10.
Yeah.
I mean,
all time.
All time. I mean, from our perspective, obviously we found out a little early that he had won, and then it was like, holy crap. Like, what do we do now? Like, obviously the tournament's going to be in Scotland. And then the question quickly became, is Phil actually gonna wear the joggers? Because we knew that you beat him. We knew that the front 9 would be on your channel, the back 9 on his, and we knew that there'd be millions of views. So the question was like, is there any way that he's gonna get out of this?
How confident were you, Grant, that he was actually gonna follow through on his bet and wear them?
I mean, we know Phil likes to bet, so I feel like he's not like a newbie to doing bets. He's done these before, and I was really confident. I was really confident that he was gonna follow through with the bet. I think some of the coolest things that I saw was even leading up to the Open when he posted that picture on Twitter and on Instagram of him wearing the joggers and fed into the video. That for me was the coolest part, because he made it a bigger deal just by posting about it and talking about it more. And then obviously wearing them in the Open and being asked about them on TV was pretty cool too. So I was really confident. I wasn't too worried, but it did rain 2 of the days, so he had to wear rain pants, which was definitely interesting, because he would have wore the joggers all 4 days if he didn't wear the rain pants. I think he was vibing with them.
I think so. Well, it was crazy from our perspective, because we found out that you won, and then it was like, do we go? Like, should we go to Scotland?
Right.
I mean, how long do you guys think we debated it? Hours?
Well, first of all, it was never a question to me. I had to convince these two. I was all in from the first, opportunity. Like, we have to go.
It may not have happened if you.
How long did you guys have making that decision?
We sat for hours and argued about it.
Well, I mean, from the moment we figured out you won, I think there was a period of time where it was like we knew that it was going to happen, but we didn't really talk about the option of going. And then one day, I think you and Alex were meeting, and you're kind of jokingly, I think you sent me a message.
No,
we
we were
like,
sitting right here. I could see Maddie at his desk, and I told Alex, I'm going to send Maddie a message that we're going to Scotland just to see the reaction on his face. I wasn't fully serious until I sent the message. I was like, wait, we need to go to Scotland. This is insane. We got to go.
Yeah.
I had to convince my wife. Luckily, she was awesome about it. She kind of, she's gotten to know golf relatively well over the years, so she understood the gravity of Phil Mickelson wearing the joggers.
Right.
But all that being said, we had this overarching concern of like, what if we go and he doesn't wear them?
Like, what if it rains all 4 days, you know?
Right. And that was a huge risk on your guys' end. When I saw you guys flying to the Open, I was like, oh my goodness, you guys, it was like a bold play. And
yeah,
it paid off, and you guys got videos of Phil wearing the joggers. And you also heard, you guys mentioned that people in the crowd were talking about it and talking about the joggers, which is so cool.
Yeah. I think we heard someone say, "Nice primo joggers, Phil," and that was cool.
Yeah. And he always responds to everybody in the crowd.
Oh, throwing thumbs
No,
up.
he was loving it. No, one of my favorite moments was on the first tee as he was teeing off. I think it was on Friday. There was a dad and his son sitting in front of us, scrolling through their Instagram, and the son was showing his dad Grant Horvat and like what the whole big deal about Phil wearing the joggers was, and we're just sitting right behind him.
He specifically pulled up the story where you're like, all right, guys, Phil had to wear rain pants yesterday, but he's gonna be wearing the joggers today.
Yeah. I know, because I was getting a lot of messages because I think it was the first day or second day, he was wearing rain pants and obviously wasn't wearing the joggers. So people were DMing me saying, Phil's not wearing the joggers. And I had to make it clear on a story. I was like, guys, he wants to wear the joggers. Don't worry. He texted us individually and told us that, he can't wear the joggers because he needs to wear rain pants. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, I just wanted to clarify that with everybody that he is going to wear the joggers. It's just he has to wear rain pants.
And I think that helped the whole thing felt so authentic. And I think it's because it was like, it wasn't our idea, which I think is the coolest part. We obviously benefited from it. I think it was a total win across the board. Like, it was great for us. It seemed like it was great for you and Phil, like a lot of positive things. It was great for the fans. It was a talking point, like on the coverage. It was a talking point on social media. It just seemed all across the board, everyone won.
Yeah, and I couldn't believe the articles written on it. I know that like Fox News did an article, Golf Digest. I feel like in the golf world, there's not always a ton happening, and when something cool like this happens, it's a big storyline. So
yeah,
that was just so special to see all that, and just looking back on this entire match and the jogger situation, it was so lighthearted and so last minute, and the fact that it paid off like this, and everybody talked about the joggers. It was a huge win for everybody. We needed to win first off, and that happened. And then obviously from there, it was a success on the marketing side. And it was unplanned. Like, we didn't go in with this plan like, hey, this is a big marketing play for our joggers. Like, we just went in with, hey, it was a last minute thing. Wear the joggers. Because, you don't see too many 55-year-olds wearing joggers, which I want to see more people. I feel like they can pull them off, but a guy like Phil, he pulled them off so well.
It was incredible. I mean, over the last few weeks since it's happened, we all have had so many people ask us about it. Like, so many people were aware of it. Even people that like don't pay super close attention to golf were seeing it, which means that it had this reach that is it's pretty much impossible to just manufacture. It had to be, like you said, just organic.
And people can feel if something's like unauthentic, and that was as raw as it gets. Just like thinking about that last minute.
Yeah, you can't fake your play.
Right.
Like, you can't just manufacture birdies out of thin air.
No, after I was 6 over, dude, so I'm telling you guys, on the 10th tee box, I snap hook it left on Phil's channel, first tee shot, and I thought to myself, this is the worst I could ever play right now mentally. Like, I was in the worst mental headspace on hole 10, and I was swinging the worst, and I was putting terrible, and I had one of the greatest warm-up sessions I've had all year. And I thought to myself on hole 10, I might shoot an 85 with Phil. And somehow, some way, we did the complete opposite, and we shot like 3 under from there on out. But I did think to myself, I'm going to shoot an 85.
You know, it so easily could have just not happened.
Yep, it's
No.
true. It's so true. And like the fact that it all worked out the way it did was so cool. And hopefully, Phil's going to keep wearing the joggers. He's going to keep showing up wearing them because I feel like he can pull them off. He's wearing the Jordans, and they go really well with the Jordans. So
Yeah.
it's a good look for Phil.
So Grant, are we going to see a rematch between you and Phil? Is that a possibility?
Yeah, for sure. That's something we're definitely talking about right now. We don't have a date yet, but we definitely want to do a rematch, me and Phil. So once that gets scheduled, we'll have to maybe have another bet in place. I don't know what the next one will be.
Well, Grant, thanks for playing well. Thanks for making it happen. I think it was exciting for everyone.
Yes, a huge win for everybody. And thank you guys for flying out to the Open. I mean, that's pretty crazy. That's some dedication to the brand right there.
Yeah. We couldn't miss it.
Once in a lifetime, you know?
Yes, sir.
Once in a lifetime.
All right. Well, Grant, thanks for joining us today, and I'm sure we'll do something like this again soon.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.